Now that we've got Alp Arslan, what I like to call AA Ron, this guy AA is in the game and he is actually showing some massive potential, obviously with the different things that he does. We need to go through our investment tier list. We need to go through the commanders you need to focus on, what's going to translate into the game, what's going to transcend down the road. We're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about how you prioritize these commanders when you're making your investments. If you're a new player coming into SOC, what do you go get? If you're a player right now spending dailies, what do you focus on? We'll talk about all that as we go through the new investment tier list right now. Hey everybody, it's your boy War Daddy Chadsky. I do videos for Rise of Kingdoms as a sponsored creator all the time. Love doing videos, love interacting with you guys, love being able to help you guys with your accounts and your game and everything that you do. If you like these videos, throw a thumbs up on here. Give it a like, helps out the channel, helps out the videos a ton. And if you're not subscribed, consider doing so. Does not cost you a thing. Join all the people who are jumping in on our community. We absolutely love it. And I'm in the middle of our May video giveaways where I do a $10 flux for every single video. All you have to do to enter to win is comment down in the comment section. You guys know me. I love interacting with the community. I love getting down there with you. And if you comment down there, you're entered to win for the next video as I pull a random comment from the previous video. So from our previous video that we had about how Alp Arslan works and what we found in his AoE kit and how it's instant proc AoE, it's kind of crazy. Got this from Muhammad. Great analysis. Thanks for letting us know about AA. You are the first to notice his working. Well, that is in reference, and I'll have a card at the top for that video. That's in reference to how this dude works. He's coming to the game now. I affectionately like to call him AA Ron. So AA has come into the game, and with his skills, we had to figure this out. And it's still real murky. Like, it's been driving Daver crazy how they're describing his skills and what happens. But he's got an AoE pierced effect that he does, and he does it as a defection damage in your reports. Well, if you've got the third skill rolling, you'll see that this fires off during his act as an active skill. It's kind of weird how it's described, but it's an AoE. And it's instant proc. It can fire off right off the rip. Okay, let me show you just real quick. This is kind of just a real quick refresher on how this thing works. I've got one of these things saved here, and you'll see in the battle logs. Let's see here. You come down here. This is an AoE effect that's firing off on turn 2. It's kind of crazy. Just absolutely kind of crazy how that thing works. And so with that, you can see right here the defection effect. Now, don't worry about the number of troops lost. I was just doing like a 50K march. It's not a big deal. But from there, you can see that this thing does AoE right off the rip. Well, that's what's so crazy about this, because typically these are not passive skills on your active. Okay, you can't fire off an active skill in the first second or two, but that's just the way he works. And again, Daver's going nuts with it. So with him coming into the game, we got to kind of figure this thing out, because a lot of people are kind of suspecting, like Chadsky, where do I put him on my priority investment list? Like, do I put him up there with Sun Tzu and Chen? Do I put him up there with BQ? Do I put Alp up there with Achilles? What do we do now that we have found out that CPO Prime is amazing with Luce? And kind of has taken the place of that Luce Alex March. What's happened to the cavalry skill damage commanders? Is Zuge still around? What are we going to do with him? Well, I'm going to go through this all, and I'm going to take my previous tier list, and I'm going to put up something. Now, we're all going to have to follow me here, because it gets a little bit intricate, but this is kind of what we're going to see, okay? So from the tier list, and I'll talk about all these commanders, this is what I'm seeing in 2026 in the month of May. This is an investment tier list that we have got, obviously. Let me move this over just a little bit. This is an investment tier list for your field commanders, okay? And this is what people like to see. This is what people like to kind of figure out and look at. At the very top, we're still going to differentiate Chen and Sun Tzu. They're the two most powerful commanders in the game, and they're off the charts. Now, you're looking at this saying, Chadsky, you got Alp down here. I'll explain that in a few. From there, Chen and Sun Tzu obviously still doing what they do at the highest level. okay? And it's been exceptionally potent if you're running him in the field, okay? Now, from there, you have an S tier list that I consider a must-max list, right? And there's multiple reasons why, okay? Number one, because we're going to lack these commanders. So definitely in a 2-march setup for infantry, you've got Sun Tzu, you've got Luce, and you got BQ. That's easy. You want to go max those guys. If you don't have a max, you want to work the dailies. You want to maybe spend some wheel tickets to get those guys to be maxed, okay? Because they are going to be not only right now the meta, but they're going to be the meta even after we get another round of commanders. So the investment can be completely peace of mind. You don't have to worry about any of that because these guys are going to be around for a while. The reason why I have Luce ahead of BQ, and you got to understand this, everybody needs to understand, when you have Luce ahead of BQ, it's because I am of the notion or of the mentality or philosophy that when it comes to our boy Luce, okay, let me pull this dude up here. When it comes to our boy Luce, because of his expertise and because he is still considered doing so much damage, does so many different things. He's a 2-year-old commander, guys. What's going to happen in the future is that you will eventually, in a 2-march setup for infantry, you will bench BQ before you bench Luce, in my opinion. That's just what I think is going to happen because his expertise transcends the game. It helps so much for instant procs. Instant damage is like the meta right now. You want instant damage as fast as possible. And I have always said this, and I got the same kind of thing going on with the cavalry, so just bear with me. But they're both like must-max commanders. Like, you need to get them both. But Luce will last long. You'll end up benching BQ before Luce. Okay? That's how that commander works and why he works. It was the same thing back in the day with Guan Yu. Okay, let me show you here. Guan Yu was in the meta for so long. Okay, this is years ago, guys. Most of you don't even understand how this thing works. But you had other infantry commanders that were being released into the game. You had commanders like Sargon and you had commanders like Harold. You had commanders like Leo. You had all these commanders that were being introduced into the game, but we kept Guan Yu because of his silence. He had a 3-second silence that was absolutely great. Busted 5 years ago, 4 years ago. He stayed in the meta for a long time. So you can have a commander with a specific skill that's going to let him transcend where he's powerful enough. And Luce definitely is powerful enough. When you look at Luce, he is definitely powerful enough with all of his skills to where all he needs is this right here. The original combo, he's the OG combo commander in the game, even from 2 years ago. And it works out exceptionally well, especially now with tier 5 gear, where you have instant proc on tier 5 gears that comes along. You've got some of these things, Divine Might. You want to proc that anytime you have a chance. Okay, that's why combo commanders are so busted. It's great to have combo commanders. But for infantry, you've got Luce. Okay, and since you have Luce, I am of the mindset and I am of the opinion that he will end up lasting longer than BQ. But guys, we're talking a long ways away. So you can invest in BQ and not have to worry about it, okay? When it comes to the cavalry, you're going to notice I've got Arthur up here ahead of Gang Gang. It's the same notion, okay? So hold on. Before I get into that, we're going to have Achilles. Achilles is crazy good. Now, I know a lot of people look at Achilles and say, "Oh, he's like Zhuge Liang, right? He does AOE at 2,000 damage factor in a circle, okay? And he's got kind of a comparable set or skill set as far as his stats and stuff to like Zhuge, but his Palian Spear, guys, where he's reducing damage, okay? When he reduces skill and combo damage and he reduces it by 15%, and then he kicks back more damage with the Palian Spear, getting extra procs to fire off, he's fantastic. He's going to be in the meta for cavalry for years, okay? And he's super strong. He's not quite at that Qin Sun Tzu level, but he's like the next best one, okay? Sitting there with Luce and BQ. So you can rest assured Achilles is great. Now, when we talk about Arthur, It's the same thing as Luce and BQ. When you compare Arthur to Gang Gang, right? Now, Gang Gang is a single target damage commander, all right? And there's no real other damage he does, okay? He's not like Sun Tzu. He's not like Alp. Okay, AA and Sun Tzu do extra damage all kinds of different ways. It's really weird how they work, right? The same thing with Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu does all kinds of damage different ways when he does AoE effects of true damage. Okay, so you have all this stuff going on with these commanders that have just now been released in the game, but when it came to Gang Gang, it's just straight a single target. Now, he's got one of the best healing effects in the game, especially since you heal slightly wounded, okay? And when you heal those troops, they cannot be severely wounded again. It's kind of crazy. Like, there's some swarm stuff going on with Gang Gang that's just out of control. Like, you can sit there and literally swarm to zero. You could swarm to sad face and he'll trade positive because he's only sending slightly wounded troops to your report. He's not sending sev wounds, which means he's not giving you deads when you swarm structures. So from that standpoint, he's real niche in that role. And he does his best work when he has a big combo AoE commander behind him. Well, right now he's kind of niched up with Achilles, okay? That's kind of his niche with Achilles. Achilles kind of has to carry that. Now, when we get a next round of cavalry commanders and it's going to be an AoE combo, big damage commander, he is going to be really, really good. He'll have another pairing that we can use. But when it comes to transcending the game, okay, and when it comes to what you're going to invest in the future, I say this all the time. Arthur will last longer than Gang Gang. I know it sounds nuts, guys, but Arthur, so potent. Even as a 3-target AoE on his combo, and even the fact that he's still a skill damage commander as a secondary, they need to change this and let that be a toggle switch where you can make him skill damage or combo damage. But it still does so much damage, and he's got really good stats here, obviously, and he's super fast. And he does the scabbard effect, okay, where you get a bonus to combo. But here's the thing for him. His expertise with the combo is great. This thing fires off 4, 5, 6 times in a single second. It's crazy how this thing works. So instant proc damage, that's combo, that's enhancing all of your instant proc chances on all your armaments, on all your gear, and all the different things. Arthur will last longer than Gang Gang. You will end up using Arthur longer than you'll use Gang Gang. Okay, like I said, I gave that that reference to Guan, and now I talked about Luce. Same thing with Arthur. Same thing. They're going to come out with commanders in the future that love this right here. Absolutely love this. Combo attacks going crazy. And it's just enhancing all of your chances to do more damage, more buffs, more debuffs from the armaments, from the equipment, from new commander skills, all the things we're going to see. That is why I have got Arthur ahead of Gang Gang. And I've got Gang Gang in this weird 2 March row here. Okay, this is an S tier, and I don't want to necessarily say must max, but I will say this. If you are running 2 archers, now that we have AA, he's kind of a must max commander. You want to run him with 2 archers, 100%. 100% prioritize him and make him set up to where you want to run him and prioritize him. And you want to run them with 2 archers, and you can find all kinds of different ways to do it. What we're finding now early on is that you're going to want to, with your archers, you're going to want to keep like a commander like Zuge with Chin. They have so many synergies, not only with the range engine that we have, and along with that, we've also got the situation with the debuff that Zuge does, and now Alp you can pair with Hermit. You can spread poison stacks more. Or what we're seeing is that for you who are coming into you guys that are coming into the game, all right, and you don't necessarily have the heads to go max Herman, you know, he's kind of niche when it comes to that, but you have YSG. Alp and YSG are proven to be really, really potent right now. And it's like you're ignoring the debuff element of the benevolence effect, and you're just sticking with Pierced. The secret to Alp here is that if you're not going to run poison, slow, or any other normal debuffs, okay, you're not going to pair him with Hermit. okay, or you're not going to pair him with some of these other commanders that do these debuffs, you can focus your Pierce effects, which is just going to basically make you do more damage. Well, of course, we know that YSG has crazy skill damage enhancements. With his museum, he's got 62% skill damage total bonus that he does. Just helps out Alp Arslan. Alp's like a weird Chin 2.0, like a poor man's Chin, if you will, because of this effect that I showed earlier in the video, where he'll do this Pierce effect damage all over the place. So we're seeing that YSG is a really good pair with him. Maybe not so much with Zuge, where you want to put Zuge with Chin, but YSG with Alp, or you run AA with Herman. Okay, and so from there, if you're running two Archer Marches, you're going to want to do something like this to where you prioritize him. Okay, plus he's going to last in the 2-March meta for archers for a long time. So that's easily up here. Okay, then I have like an S 2-March setup for Gang Gang. This is not a must-max situation, but he's like the next best one that you could go max. Okay, so that's why we talked about Gang Gang in comparison to Arthur. Gang Gang is still going to be around, and he's going to be around for a while. We only have 3 combo commanders. We've got Achilles, we got Arthur, who's kind of just a half combo commander, and we've got Gang Gang. So even after the next cap cycle, Gang Gang is still going to be in the meta. All right. Now, when the next one after that comes, that's when I'll say you'll probably have to choose between Arthur and Gang Gang in a 2-March lineup. And for me, I would choose Arthur. But Gang Gang's still there. Not a must max. Okay, but he's still here. Alp, if you're running 2 archers, must max. If you're not, you can put him more here or just good value, because you don't have to run him with Chin. All right, that's the main thing that we have to understand with the archers. It appears that Chin just works better either with Zuge or YSG than Alp would with Chin. Now, we'll get more reports on that, but just rest assured, guys, if you're running 1 Archer March, you're still good with a Chin YSG or a Chin Zuge. Okay, that's just kind of where that's at. All right, so the good value down here hasn't changed much. You still get good value with these guys. You get pairing value with Zuge and Herman now. We know that. You also could put YSG up here to get good value out of him. Hector, the most versatile. Hector is the most versatile commander in Rise of Kingdoms. He's a great stopgap. He's able to be a smite, combo, and skill damage commander with his active skill. Okay, he's able to enhance that. He's so versatile. And not only this, he's great for Garrison. He's part of the Garrison meta. David Hector is the 1v1 versus the rally Garrison meta for Cavs. Gorgo Hector is like the 1v1 along with Toku, rivals Toku as the Garrison meta 1v1 versus rally. And you can run it mixed with Gorgo. Okay. And now that we're about to get this guy down here, Hayek, okay, we're going to be in that situation to where on a 1v1 with Hayam, Hector is going to be the play. In a pass, in a fort, 1v1, Hayam and Hector is going to just completely annihilate things, okay? So he's part of that Garrison meta, plus you can use him in the field, plus he's great for city defense. If you're sitting in that situation where you've just got a Gorgo max or you got a Hera max, okay, you could go put Hector and Hera on your wall. You're going to be fine. And that's what makes Hector very, very valuable and really potent on this good value list, okay? You still have Philip. Now, Philip has dropped off a bit, but you got to trust with Philip, okay? He's getting into that weird Trajan mode. And what I mean by that is when it comes to Philip's in a situation to where Trajan was really, really good, but because he didn't do any damage, there were some issues that came along with his reports that we started seeing when he started tailing off. We're starting to see that a little bit with Philip. Whoever you put him with isn't going to trade quite as well. You could take Philip and Hector and you could put them with the same types of commanders, and the Hector will always trade better because it's just built to trade better. But Philip, you have to trust, guys. It's we have to do it with Trajan. We had to do it for a year. Your report's not going to be as good, but you got to trust he's buffing everybody else. Okay, he's making all of your marches better. So you can still get good value out of Philip. Maybe not near as much as we used to, but he's still there, okay? I've got Attila in here. Good value with Attila. If anything, you always want to have a city rally. You always want to have a city rally. You always want to be able, no matter what level of play you are to put your best cav gear on Attila, put some Delta formation armaments on Attila, and go run an Attila with, I don't know, Subutai, or run an arch, even if you got like a scuffed arch set with good cavalry gear, you can go 50, 60, 70 million power players with your Attila. Anybody can. And he's got great value there. Now, he's also part of the cavalry meta right now for definitely Garrison, but also for the rallies as well, okay? And now people are actually buying into the Attila with Achilles Field March with normal damage coming from the arch formation. And it just, I've been saying it. I've been saying it ever since Achilles came out. Like, it's just an insanely good balanced march. You can set it and forget it. Never trade bad. It's awesome. And so from there, you're seeing more players do that. So there's usability for Attila. Of course, you guys know I'm going to have him up there. And then, of course, we've got Zuge and Herman that go more with the pairing. Okay, so those are your good value guys. I would put these guys here. This is the pairing side of things. Okay, just bear with me. The reason why they hold value, I don't want to really prioritize them as great investments. Unless you have everything you need maxed up here, then you can work dailies for these guys. William Wallace, probably the only one I would really recommend highly for that. But you've got other commanders that are going to come in. Eventually, David's going to be on the dailies. You guys are going to see these. These are pairings. These are commanders that are carried by these commanders up here, and they have really good synergies. Of course, William Wallace with Sun Tzu gives you that 2-march meta, so you can put BQ and Luce together, and you have a 2-march infantry meta. Same thing with archers, especially if you're running 2 marches. You can use YSG, run him with AA, and then run Chen with Zuge. Or you can use YSG if you don't have Zuge. You can run him with Chen, and then you can run Herman with AA. So you have good pairing value here. CPO has now taken the place of Alex when it comes to this. I moved Alex down, moved CPO up, and the reason why is, and people love this. Daddy Furious was running this, like, I don't know if he didn't believe me or not, but when I was saying the CPO Luce March is the new Luce Alex. And what I mean by that is that ever since they enhanced the support tree, and it's much more tanky, okay, ever since they did that, CPO with Luce as a secondary, okay, you run it with Pincer. Don't run it with Arch or with Wedge. I'm sorry. Don't run it with Wedge 2.0. Don't worry about it. Even though he's the primary commander and he does skill damage, you run it with Pincer, just like you ran Luce Alex with Pincer or Arch, right? But we liked CPO with Pincer, you put Luce behind him. That is the new Luce Alex. Okay, that is the new kind of budget way to run that really does well. I can't wait to run it again. It traded so well. You put good gear on this thing, it does exceptionally well. So now CPO has serviceability here in the pairing section. I've got CJ in here as well. CJ probably at the end of this, he's not super valuable. You can't really do it too much. And then but you can also use CJ if you're running like 3 smite, or if you're running 2 smite and you don't have William Wallace. There's other different ways to do it. A lot of people like to run Evar. I guess I could go put Evar in here if I've got this. Hold on, let me go find this guy. I got to go find our boy Evar, the boneless. You know, what would we do with him, right? How would we set him up? Where would we put Evar in this thing? And I'm just going to tell you, I would not run him with infantry. No synergies there. Maybe he's in a niche role to where if you run 3 infantry smite marches, you could put him there. But I would rather just run CJ if you got him. And then you'll see I've also got William here. People still swear that the Arthur William setup they absolutely love. And William is really, really good when it comes to some of the stuff he does. His kit has been so intricate for years, and he can still run with Arthur. Like somebody like Amthala, you guys see him in my Discord. He's a cav main, been a cav main for years. He still loves running the Arthur with William. Okay, I don't necessarily advise it, but it will work. Okay, to where you can have Arthur either with Philip or William. If you don't have Gang, or if you run Gang Achilles and you run Arthur, you can still run with Philip or William just fine. I like to put David here in a pairing section because I'm a guy that runs 3 cavalry. Okay, and when I run 3 cavalry, I really like to run 3 combo cavalry marches. Okay. And it's super potent. When I do that, I can actually run something like a gang with Achilles. I can run Arthur with Philip, and then I can run Attila with David. I can do a couple of different things when it comes to that. And the reason why is because David has a debuff. Okay, this is the difference between him and Ivar. All right, they're pretty much the same commanders. They're both rally or garrison commanders, and they both have AoE that's really potent. But you miss out on these other skills. Well, with David, you miss out on the third skill and the expertise. But his fourth skill lays down a debuff of 40% more combo damage taken by the target. So if you're running a lot of combo marches, you're just cooking it, man. You're cooking it. And so from there, you put him behind Attila. It's a really good march. It works out really. It's not going to be your best trading march, but you're going to put that debuff of combo down to where your gang Achilles just smacks it. Your Arthur just smacks it. And that's why I like to have that. So that's kind of a niche role for him that I like. Puts him in the pairing role. I like it with him. I could kind of maybe move him down to the niche role. And so from there, that's where I'll leave it. Then I've got the niche roles specifically with Gajamata Cordoba. That's your siege march. I'm going to spend about 5 seconds talking about siege. You can run this. Don't have to expertise these commanders. You can run these commanders and get good value there. And you can run a siege march. Okay. You're allowed. Then we've got Shajar, right? Shajar in that niche role for Canyon, amazing. She's also in a niche role to keep Chin alive and like an altar fight. People still love it. You've got Belly Prime. Belly Prime still delivering that swarm capabilities when he puts that debuff. Okay, as we all know, Belly Prime has got the big debuff that he does. Where's my belly? On his expertise to when you're surrounding anything, and this includes any kind of structure, you're putting a 12% more damage debuff on the target, and they take that from all sources. It's really still potent to today, and so that's more of a niche when it comes to swarming. I've got Alex in here. He provides a niche role if you run 3 smite marches, all right, and you run Luce with Alex, you can still do that. So more importantly, though, he's kind of maybe over here with Ivar. You don't really mess with this too much, and so it's one of those things that you got to get into with that. I've also got my cavalry skill damage commanders here. They've got kind of niche roles. You can still run skill damage cavalry as we're waiting for Delta 2.0. All right, just a refresher there. We have now the Wedge 2.0 stuff that we can run, and this is what I run, but it's a niche thing. You can still run cavalry skill damage marches, all right? But from there, we're eventually going to get Delta 2.0. All right, and when we get Delta 2.0, it's going to be cracked, and all the skill damage cavalry marches will go away. Those commanders will go away because we'll have another commander that does combo, and we'll have a new Delta 2.0, and that's what you're going to want to run. But for right now, you still got a niche purpose with that, to where you can still either run Nevsky Joan, you could run Joan with Arthur behind her, you could run Huo with Arthur behind her, Nevsky with Arthur behind him, and you can still do that today, but eventually that's going away. Okay, you're Just Know down here. We talked about Guan. I put Ash in here. I love Ash. Okay, but if you're talking about investments for field commanders, okay, you don't go invest in Ash. You don't invest in Guan. You don't invest in Ragnar. That's not what you're doing. Okay, and so from there, this is your investment tier list. This is what I put together. This is what I like. This is what I know to be true. These two guys completely busted and broken, your highest priority. Then you guys can max these guys. They're going to transcend for a long time. You can max Alp Arslan. If you're going to run 2 archer marches, he's going to be right there as a must max commander there. You can max Gang depending on how many heads you have if you want to invest him. I don't say he's a must max commander, but he's there to really help you with a 2 march cavalry lineup. I still value Arthur more. Then you've got your good value here with Hector and Attila, Philip, Zuge, and Herman. You've got your pairings here where these commanders are older but can be paired, and you've got kind of a niche role here that could kind of go here, but I like David for that debuff. And then you got your niche commanders for just specific things. There you go. and then you're just no, Commanders. So there it is, fam. Hope you got something out of that. Hope that was able to kind of let you rest easy. I know a lot of people asking about to do with Aaron over here. And so from that standpoint, we want to make sure we run through that stuff. I already maxed this guy. I'm going to run him like crazy, and I'm sure we'll find other little things with him that we really, really like. But for now, this is how this thing's going to set up. And if you enjoyed this video, guys, throw a like on here. Love you guys. Also, don't forget to comment down in the comment section to be entered to win for that $10 flux in the next video that we do. Whew. And with that, we hope you have a great day, broskies.